university where future is driven by imagination. Experiential learning creates diverse opportunities, where industry exposure and international partnerships help you sail. Come, start your journey towards success with Amrita University.
Ladies and gentlemen, namaste and a very warm welcome to all of you to the Blub World Web Talks 167th episode. Thank you so much for joining in. I am Daksh, the founder of Blub World magazine. In the last 166 episodes of the Blub World Web Talks, we have talked to, interacted with, heard innovations and what all new are people doing in the education space from nearly 3,000 plus school leaders on this very platform. Today, when I welcome you to typically listen to you, your ideas, your innovations on how do you think is the education space changing. So very warm welcome to everyone to the 167th episode. Before we start off, just 2-3 things to remember. Blub World Web Talks, most importantly, is a bilingual platform. So you can use English or Hindi, any of these two languages within the complete conversation. आप अंग्रेजी या हिंदी दोनों में से कोई भी भाषा इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं. एंड इन दोनों के अलावा कृपया तीसरी भाषा इस्तेमाल ना करें, बिकॉज आई वोंट गेट इट, बट इफ यू स्टिल वांट टू डू इट, यू कैन डू इट. मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंटली, consider this as a speaking sprint. The Blub World Web Talks is a timed platform, so once your speaking time is over, you might get muted. If you get muted, please don't get offended. It's just to finish the activity on time and keep it entertaining and crisp for all the listeners. Thank you so much for joining in. A very warm welcome to all the amazing speakers that we have today for all of you. And a warm welcome to the Blub World Web Talks 167th edition. Let's talk about career choice, passion versus trends. आज के अगले 60 मिनट जो हमारे पास हैं आपके, उसमें हम जानने की और समझने की कोशिश करेंगे आपसे कि जब हम हमारा करियर चूज करें तो किन बातों का ध्यान रखें. शुड इट बी पैशन, शुड इट बी द करंट ट्रेंड, हमारा करियर किससे बेहतर हो जाएगा, लाइफ डिसीजंस किससे ज्यादा अच्छे हो जाएंगे, ये हम जानने की कोशिश करेंगे आज के हमारे एक्सपर्ट से. टुडे वी हैव एन अमेजिंग अरे ऑफ गेस्ट्स फॉर ऑल ऑफ यू हु विल शेयर देयर एक्सपीरियंस, देयर एक्सपर्टीज ऑन choosing the right career, basing it on the passion that you have or the trends that you have, and how do you finally choose. So to initiate the roundtable today, let me invite somebody who comes from the higher education space and somebody who has a deep understanding of the spiritual backgrounding of humans and why is value education important in this decision making. A very warm welcome to Brother Maheshwara Chaitanya, the chairman of BTech Admissions and Deputy Controller of Examinations from Amrita Vishwa Prajana Vidyapeetham, Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu. Maheshwarji, over to you for the next 4 minutes. Please unmute yourself and a very warm welcome.
So, thank you, Daksh. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity on this platform. It's great to hear that you're doing so much for the students today. So, coming to the career space in higher education, see, we have almost seen like the technology has taken a ride on education. So whether you are a teacher or school teacher or a professor in higher education or a student or a primary school student, it is very important that all this people in the learning and teaching space, they are expected to understand how the technology works. That is the first thing. Second thing, when you say that the person from the spiritual background, person with the spiritual background, let me put in this way that our future generation or the students who are passing out in future, they are expected to be the problem solvers. So in what way are they going to solve the problem? So the problem solving has to be in such a way that it is of benefit to the mankind. They have to try to solve a problem faced by the society. We have numerous problems faced by people. So whether the technology will be misused or not, for that we heavily need values and ethics and principles to be followed. And it is very, very important that we have to ensure, as the school principals or as the professors in higher education space, we have to ensure that the students are given both the sides. We need to explore both the sides. We need to give them a picture of both the sides. What will happen if there is a misuse of the technology, and how we can use the technological power for the benefit of the people. So this is how we need to look forward, because we see that higher education is completely with artificial intelligence, robotics, automation, everything, and people keep on asking about these career options. So there is a lot of people can do. There is a lot future generation can do. Way back till 2019, we were banning. We never used to give laptops and mobiles to the students, but now we are insisting them to use to attend the online classes. So which means that the kids are much more smarter than teachers and parents. So what exactly are we imparting? Are we really imparting that culture of the heart? Are we able to give them a picture of what society is suffering? And today, if you look around, nearly 30% of the students are not able to attend online classes. So this is my view today in the opening remarks, that the future generation, any career they choose, irrespective of passion or with the trend, they have to be the problem solvers. Try to solve a problem with innovative ideas. So that is what all I have to say. Thank you, Daksh.
Thank you so much, Maheshwarji. And I think you gave an amazing start to the complete discussion, that it's not about either your passion, it's not even about whether you follow the trend or not. It's finally about, are you a problem solver? And that also with a very positive connotation. Spirituality, not in the perspective of the gods that you praise every morning, but with your understanding of values and with your what forces you or drives you for the right kind of decision making. If you're a problem solver, if you can take the right decisions, the future typically belongs to you. You started it, I'll try to summarize what you said. You started the tech typically has taken a ride on education. And I think one of the school leaders very nicely phrased it in Hindi, that technology shiksha ka wo bachcha hai jo bada ho gaya hai. Technology is the child of education that's now grown up and taken the responsibility of the household on its shoulders. Because up to 2019, it was a technology ban on the classroom. And right now, education gets banned if you do not have technology at your end. Problem solving being the most important element. And I think you added a very nice caveat that it has to finally benefit mankind. It cannot just be benefiting your coffers or your banks. Think beyond the finances involved. Think about people who get involved in the complete process of it. Thank you so much, Maheshwarji. Let me invite the next speaker for today. Now we'll be listening to school leaders, because they face this question at a very fierce stage, I would rather say, because the parent, the student, the complete ecosystem is trying to fight out its way in taking a decision that what do I study next. So let me invite the next speaker for today, Mrs. Jayanti Paniraj, the principal of the Smart School from Bangalore, Karnataka. Jayanti ma'am, over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute your audio, and a very warm welcome.
Yeah. Thank you, Daksh. Thank you for this opportunity. Namaste to everyone. Since I represent, school and the younger lot, I would like to speak taking that into consideration. I personally feel that we must choose our career based on our passion. But unfortunately, it so happens that many youngsters at the crossroads are unable to decide what to do. Why do they face such a situation? It could be that they have ignored or forgotten what they really love doing. This could be due to rat race, parental pressure, peer pressure, latest trend, job opportunities at that point in time, and so on. In the process, most of them end up doing what they are really not passionate about. A job that not interests them leads to boredom and frustration. They realize that it is not their true calling. Sometimes it is too late to risk one's job and switch over to what they really like doing. On the other hand, if a person's choice of career is based on passion, then he or she will definitely put his 100% to excel. There is a lot of scope for improvement, creativity, enthusiasm, and growth. In fact, one can become a trend setter rather than a trend follower. However, due to various reasons, if one has to give up one's passion for something else, which is in trend, then one must at least develop passion for what he or she has taken up. Putting one's heart and soul in anything one does can be rewarding. Passion can be developed according to me. And how can we develop passion? Here are some ways. What were our strong likes when we were children? One must really reflect upon that. What do we like the most now? Can it be turned into a dream job? These are the questions one must ask to find out. Once they identify, then they should start working on it, practice, join some courses if need be, and decide on some specific goals and set deadlines to pursue those goals. Take accountability for what one is doing and have mentors and guides for help if required. Watch one's progress, introspect, keep learning and continue. If one does these, probably, definitely one can do better. There are ample examples to show that people try to strike a balance between passion and trends. There are engineers, doctors, and many other professionals who have strived a balance between what they love and what they have taken up. So if one, maybe one could keep them economically well off, and the other one definitely gives happiness. What I personally feel is, ultimately, we must end up doing what we really love and what makes us happy. This is exactly what I wanted to convey. Thank you, Daksh.
Thank you so much, Jayanti ma'am. Let me try to summarize or put together what you said so that some of the points can be taken ahead in the discussion. Passion should be a priority, because if you try to balance passion and trend throughout your decision-making process, you'll finally end up in a depressing, non-interesting job that you would not be able to continue. Don't make your life decisions a burden on yourself just by the mere process of decision-making. Take the decision in a space, in an environment where you yourself can evaluate objectively. And most importantly, you can make a choice. But at this point, I would want to add one more small little caveat, and we would want to know from our next speakers that when we go by the philosophy of a lot of thinkers who come from the earlier ages, that our choices are not always ours. Our choices are simply a reflection of the circumstances that we have in life. So when it's only circumstantial and the decision is only an outcome that's coming out from these circumstances, are we responsible for the decision or the child is responsible for it? So thank you so much, ma'am. Let me invite the next speaker for today to build a deeper understanding into whether the career should be a balance of these two, whether it should be choice prioritized over trend or trend prioritized over choice. A very warm welcome, Mrs. Sunanda Murali, the principal of SDKY Gurukula Vidyalaya from Kochi, Kerala. Sunanda ma'am, over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute yourself and a very warm welcome.
Namaste, Daksh, and to all the eminent personalities of this session. Basically, I would like to thank Maheshwar Chaitanya ji for having given such a beautiful introduction. And just as Ma'am Jayanti Pandraj said, I would also like to put forth the point that normally any one of us, when it was long time ago, probably at our age, we had to follow a particular, I don't know if we had the chance to follow our passion. We would have followed the trend at that point of time. Like, I wanted to become a teacher, I became a teacher, that's it. But was it my passion? Yes, it was my passion and I have succeeded in that. But at the same time, today, there are such a lot of opportunities available for children. Such a lot of opportunities. They've got every opportunity where they can follow the trend and their passion as well. If they have to get into a job, there are opportunities for them to carry their passion along with them. So under such circumstances, definitely the job becomes much more pleasing, much more happier once they are able to carry their passion along with it. A person has to work because he has to take care of his family as well, but he has a passion in music. Today, many job opportunities are given whereby they are also able to, do something. In the offices, I have seen that there are areas where they can follow their music along with it. They're given certain relieving areas. Those are stress busters where they are able to do it. Now, trends can change. And there are a lot of many successful people who have succeeded because though they followed their passion in spite of the change in the trends. For example, if it's a doctor, we can't remain conventional. we have to continuously change along with the trend, but we will do it when we have a passion for the job. So let's enjoy what we do. For the children today, they need to enjoy what they do, because when they enjoy what they do, they are happy. The environment becomes very conducive, and every day becomes something that they can look forward to.
Thank you so much, Sunanda ma'am. So I think you again reinforce the point of Jayanti ma'am that passion should be the priority when you make decision for your career. Trends can change. Don't change your passion as per trends, because at the end of the day, when it's only you and your job, you would long for satisfaction much more than the salary that comes at the end of the month. But when we try to give this logic to people who are still looking for economic stability, that's where the real challenge comes up, because that parent or that student is not in that ecosystem that is ready to listen to himself even, that whether I should be following my passion, which is something that might not pay for my bread, or should I focus on the trend that typically supports my bread. And finally, if we look at the kind of transition that we had within generations, the earlier generation was working for a comfortable life. The generation before that was working for basic necessities. But the generation that we have right now, that's getting into the employability arena now, is someone who's working for the quality of life. So at this point, that decision making becomes even more critical, because they have the power to decide. The earlier generation didn't have the power to decide. And that's why we have, as educators, we have to isolate the elements that we want them to consider. Thank you so much, Sunanda ma'am. Let me invite the next speaker for today, Miss Regina Mulial, the principal of Bright Public School from Bangalore, Karnataka. Regina ma'am, over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute your audio, and a very warm welcome.
Thank you, Daksh. Career choice, passion versus trends, as we're discussing this evening. A career choice is indeed a very important decision, as it determines what an individual is going to be doing predominantly, or is going to be involved predominantly. For students, it begins with the right choice of subjects, which will pave the way to launch a career. When you do what you like what you do. This famous adage finds expression and fulfillment when a career choice is prompted by interest and a deep desire to do something you're passionate about. It is heartening to see specialization commencing right from the high school level these days. Right now, we do see a divide between passion and current trends in choosing a career. Social norms and the yardstick for measuring success is related to what is considered respectable. For instance, becoming a doctor, an engineer, a lawyer, a software professional doing an MBA, money plays a big role, as some are drawn towards careers which are highly lucrative. With increased awareness and exposure to passion-driven innovations, we will see more young people free to choose careers in music, dance, art forms, design, sport, gaming technology, robotics, artificial intelligence, and a host of careers yet unheard. However, let us remember that passion and hard work go hand in hand. Let me close with dream big and live your dream and make the world a better place.
Thank you so much, Regina ma'am. And yes, dream big and try to make the world a better place. Normally, these two things do not go together, because when we talk of development, when we talk of bigger dreams, that's where capitalism comes in. And when we start to thrive in that economy of consumerism and capitalism, that's where the important element of valuing humans around you becomes critical. Most importantly, when we make these decisions of careers, as Regina ma'am said, it's a lifelong involvement. So always when you take a decision, consider that are you going to be happy for the next 20, 30 years doing this same thing? Or if you want to do something else, then should you be looking at your decision once again? Do what you like and you like what you do. These two things, it's good as a proverb, but does this really translate into life is something that we need to delve a little bit deeper more. I think a very important point that you made, that specialization or specialized knowledge is no more a decision that's going to happen in the college. It has already started happening in the high school space itself. And when we are talking specialization within the schools, are schools in a space and in a place where they can assist children with specialization of this sort. Thank you so much, ma'am. Let me invite the next speaker for today, Mr. Siva Kumar, the principal of Cambridge Public East School from Kaveri Pattanam, Tamil Nadu. Siva Kumarji, over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute your audio and a very warm welcome.
Thank you so much. Daksh, namaste to all the wonderful speakers for today. And as Daksh has read, like I'm from a little village where we have started with great challenges as a CBSE school. Starting a CBSE school here itself is a very big challenge, actually. This particular place is this is a place, it's a little village, and it has got lots and lots of influence from the parent side. In fact, like parents are influenced by their cousins. Like I have done engineering, why is that your son is not doing engineering? I have done medicine, why can't your son do medicine? This is what is the talks which happens. There are close-knit families, and this is what is the talk which happens around. But like in our school, we make it a point that we have a career cell, and we make it a point that the children can think on their own. We first ask them from the 8th standard itself, what is your idea? Like what do you think that you should be doing? What do you like first? And like first comes your passion, next comes your family and all that. We talk to them. In fact, like at the end of the day, when they come to 9th standard or 10th standard, when they do a choice of their studies for class 11 and 12, where which will lead them to the college level studies, it is again the parents who come forward and say that, sir, we would like to take the choice of sciences only. We don't want anything else. Apart from sciences, they don't know that there is something called humanities as well. So this becomes a little challenging for the schools also, to make it a point that like to call the parents, like along with the children, they sit down and we do a counseling session for them, telling that let them do, it's their passion. In fact, only when they are interested doing that particular job, they will be doing. If not, they'll be cursing you as well as the job that they are doing. They cannot just stick away their time, sitting in a place where they don't like to do the job. They're forced into, in fact. So even for medicine or even for an engineering, we keep telling the parents that don't force your child. Let him do something. Don't think that there is only 4 engineering. There are more than 200 engineering jobs right now. Like in the days to come, like it will increase, and we do not know what is waiting for them 10 years or 15 years from now. So they should be foreseeing. So we are supposed to give them the forethought of what they are supposed to do in 10 years from now. Like that is the kind of idea that we are supposed to give them. And there's something called this design thinking has come right now. Based on that, like we are also imparting a certain values to them, making it a point that they need to know about what would be waiting for them 10 years from now or 15 years from now. And we make it a point that values are given so much of importance. For example, we begin our day with yoga, meditation, and we end the day with meditation also. And like there is a lot of value added things that we have told them, that like no junk food inside the school campus and all that. We always thought that from the beginning, if at all this has been instilled in the minds of the children, I think that will take them a long way. Calming down their mind was very, very important when they get important when they get from 8th standard onwards. So this meditation in the morning, in the afternoon, and the evening, I think will work a lot with them. We always found that there was so many changes. There are 3 batches who have left us. In fact, the first batch of children have already started taking up their jobs. They always keep telling that, sir, only calming down our minds, like we started realizing that there are certain things that we found deep into our hearts that we are passionate about, and we have started working on that. And that has has yielded us, like a lot of good things in our life. So this is what we do at school, like apart from whatever that has been taught as career guidance or lessons or whatever it is. So these I think, the values also should be added along with the curriculum that we are following. I think, like we should teach the children to follow their passion. That's very, very important. I spoke about what is influencing our kids in my locale. In fact, Kaveri Pattanam is a little village in the north part of Tamil Nadu. So there, what is the scenario even today? That's what I have spoken right now. Thanks for the opportunity, Mr. Daksh.
Thank you so much, Sivakumarji. So I think you brought in the tier 2 and tier 3 perspective of decision making, that when they decide careers, it's not only their decision, it's a decision that's typically coming from a pool of people that's their close-knit family who's influencing their each step and their decision making. It's not just a choice between the passion and the trend. It's typically a choice between what the mama chacha has been doing and what do you want to do with your own life. You talked about probing children to understand them, and I think this has to start quite early now, because children are now a little bit more intelligent and they start making their own decisions a little early in their age. Most importantly, the natural selection for the parent is always science, because that keeps all the options open. But at that point, the intervention of the school becomes important to give them the right kind of exposure, that, okay, there are 1,000 more things that are available. Think on these lines, think on the options. And as a school, as a career coach for them, you yourself have to give them a future telling or a crystal gazing, that you yourself must be aware about, okay, this is what's going on. Think on these lines as well, that the child might be interested in something that you're totally unaware about. And I think where you concluded your talk, or where you talked at the end of your complete conversation, was calming their mind, giving them values, giving them a little bit of meditation, so that they get into a positive space of introspection, understanding themselves better, and then taking a decision on how do they want to lead their life. Thank you so much, Sivakumarji. Let me invite the next speaker for today, Mrs. Sangeeta Bharti, the principal of the Titan School from Hosur, Tamil Nadu. Sangeeta ji, over to you for the next 3 minutes. A very warm welcome.
Yeah, good evening. And yeah, my name is Sangeeta Bharti, and I'm from the Titan School in Hosur. So the topic is trends versus passion. See, trends are, we look at it as, what is the current scenario, and based on data driven, and how it is, what will the future be. And when you make your decisions based on the trends, you are going to get into a comfortable zone, and where, maybe the job opportunities or the educational patterns are going to fit in. But at the same time, it is the passion which is going to, lead you to from your heart. So the trends are, maybe you have to look at it from your brain, whereas the passion is from your heart and your brain. So when both are in sync together, that is when it happens. So when people, if we are only going to look at trends and follow the crowd, of course you will be successful. But to be very, very successful, I think your passion is needed. And today, if there is an Apple company, it is because of the passion of a Steve Jobs. Or whether it is the music that we hear in our Indian industry, whether it is because it's the passion of A.R. Rahman. Had he not followed his passion, but had taken the, the run-of-the-mill decision, he would have been somewhere else. Maybe he would be sitting in an office, drumming around on his table while working. So that is the scene. So I think we need to follow our passion. And if the passion is fitting with the trend, very, very good. But if it is not, it is still very, very good. Because if you're passionate about something, I think it leads you to success. Follow your heart, follow your passion. And because nobody's going to foolishly follow a passion. The passion is also logical, but it is something of an area of interest to you. So when a student or when an adult goes by what he or she very strongly feels about, I think that is why, like I would like to quote the case of Kalpana Chawla, a small time student from a small town in Punjab. Had she not followed her passion, and was she not supported in her passion to become the first woman astronaut, even amongst all the risk that is involved, I don't think you would have got a woman of her stature. Yeah, even if she lived for 41 years, she followed her passion and was a great success, a great scientific success. Unfortunately, there were some circumstances. So it is, I think, and if Bill Gates, who dropped out of Harvard University, had he not had followed his passion, being very, very intelligent, he could have continued. Any conventional Indian parent would have, just given the beating to Bill Gates. But fortunately, he followed his passion, and today we have the Microsoft. So I think you have to keep both in place. Both, keep the trends in mind, but follow your passion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sangeeta ma'am. And yes, when you make your decisions, always have passion in the center stage, but let the backstage be filled with all the trends that are there, so you're able to understand what's actually going on. You're able to understand the forces that govern your life decisions. Being very successful, you have to be passionate. If you just want to be successful, you can just follow the trend and be comfortable in whichever zone you are. Finally, when we look at a typical classical example of somebody who took the risk went to space, and talk about Kalpana Chawla, normally parents do not get convinced by this. They don't buy this story. The story that they buy typically comes from the mamas and chachas or the conventional stories that they've been listening to. Because when we delve a little bit deeper or go into the next strata of decision making in the space of career, what is the elements that we should be considering? What is it that we should not be considering? What is it that we should be averse towards? And what is it that we should be promoting in our critical decision making of the career? Let me try to get an understanding from Maheshwarji that when he gets students within his institution, what does he think would be the critical isolated elements that we must be considering while taking this decision? Over to Maheshwarji.
So again, thanks, Daksh. So I was just listening to the opinion from all the speakers here today, and all the points are well noted. See, one thing is that certainly passion has to be one of the major things, because it is interest or the motivation that drives us in life. So there has to be passion, certainly, yes. But in some cases, I would say that they have to go according to the trends. See, for example, when I know a large number of students who join this engineering just because of a tag called engineering, without much understanding about what it is going to be. And nowadays, everybody wants to join computer science. So I asked, why you don't want to join computer science? No, it is just like that. That is a trend now. And my parents wants me to pursue computer science engineering. So the lack of exposure given to the children is making this kind of a situation. So the first and foremost thing is what I would like, as a university we would like is, if we are able to give them a wider picture on different career opportunities, and if they have that skill to adapt, that is one of the important things. For example, let us say that I am joining a company like Infosys or TCS or CTS, and after 4 years of my graduation I join a company and they ask me to take up a project or be part of the project, a team, and I say that, oh, this was not taught in the class, they will just throw me away, right? So which means that what is the ultimate goal in education? You have to be ready, or you have to get ready to learn new things in life. So learning is not just the end of the graduation. It never ends with graduation. They have to continue learning even in the job space, where they have to remain competent as much as possible. So that adaptability is one of the important skills. And when they come into our system, as rightly pointed by one of the panelists, on how they can perform well with values. So what we do is we put them in social service activities, so they understand. They understand what is happening and what is the ground reality, and they are able to come up with innovative solutions. So that adaptability skill. For example, let us say the teachers who are currently teaching online, they never expected that such a thing will happen till 2019, right? We never knew there is a Zoom platform. We never knew there is Google Meet or Teams, and now the teachers are very brilliant and excellent. They can talk about any e-learning platform. So that is the skill they have acquired, and it happened one fine morning. They were forced to adapt, right? So that adaptability is very, very important skill, because again, let me emphasize, technology will take a ride on us, and we are just listening, or we are hearing the news that 5G is about to come, right? And you can control all the appliances at home and room using a mobile phone. So everything is at your fingertips. So that adaptability is a skill where you need to embrace new things in life. And let me conclude with one of important points, where the principals and teachers took a lot of struggle to deliver the content online without compromising on the quality, and they found it very, very difficult to conduct even the examinations. For example, last year the CBSE examinations, all the principals were totally problem solvers. They had to make sure that the sanitization the enough number of that thermal guns, everything is on place, put on place. So that kind of a thought process happened, and they became the problem solvers to conduct the exam. So that adaptability is one of the important skills. Any problem solver has to think from that point. So they have to go by passion. Definitely, they have to go by passion. But at the same time, somewhere they have to think from the trend point of view also, because ultimately we need income to survive, isn't it? So then we have to bend towards trends, and we have to accept the change and move forward. So that is what I have to say. Thank you, Daksh.
Thank you so much, Maheshwarji. I would like to now get Jayanti ma'am and Shiv Kumarji on this very question, that we must be taking these two aspects in the decision making of our careers, where we have to put passion and trend together and try to balance them. But whenever we try to balance them, there are a lot of external forces that come into play. And everybody has a different perception of things. As Sivakumarji already mentioned, that when it's a tier 2 or tier 3 town, there's a lot of parent intervention coming in. So Jayanti ma'am, what do you think, that can this decision really be objective and candid? Because the way we are discussing it, we seem to think that it is quite candid and quite an objective decision, but when it happens on ground, it's very subjective, or rather very elaborate.
What I feel is, I should be telling you that I have seen many students, for that matter, who had initially gone by the trend, taken up a job, and and midway giving it up because it is not at all interesting. Imagine somebody getting into an engineering course, but basically is a good singer. Okay, and then completes the engineering course, lands into a job, but then decides, no, this is not my true calling. Let me go back to music. Now, what will happen? If you are the sole breadwinner of the house, can you take such a decision? It is so difficult. So I think we have to be practical in life to a very large extent, but definitely I would say, first, give importance to passion. If that does not work, you at least develop passion for what you are doing, or modify it in such a way that it will definitely sustain your interest. That is important. So modifying your passion to suit the trend is yet another, I think, tactic which one must have to survive in a better way. That's what I feel.
Modifying your passion to typically match that trend.
Exactly.
Your opinion on this, that when parents get involved, when the ecosystem becomes bigger, it's not just the student who's taking a decision. How do you tell them that try to modify your passion into a trend and try to fit that into a box that matches it? Sivakumarji, over to you.
I have a couple of students who have done this. In fact, I would like to quote Jayanti ma'am also for that. There was a girl who wanted to do film technology, class 12. She was studying class 12 and she wanted to do film technology, but her parents were dead against it because she was a fatherless girl, and the mother, however, wanted to see to it that she does her job where she can get her settled very soon. As I told you that after 4 years of engineering, if she gets selected in the campus interview and she gets settled, then she can get her married. That is what is the common thing which happens around here. But that girl completed her very stubborn. She said that she wanted to do film technology. She saw to it that she completed the engineering like what her mother said, but did not take up a job. In fact, she went in to do film technology, and now she is actually doing a job in the theaters. This is one incident. The second one is that there was a boy who did not want to do biology, but his father wanted him to do biology. The boy completed biology of class 12, but he was so much fascinated towards computer science. And when he was doing class 12 computer science, he started doing blogging, and now he is earning. Actually, he is funding himself for his own education. He has to get into the college this academic year, and he started funding for himself. for the education. So like, I think that, like there is a lot of passion in when people start following their passion, it becomes easy for them to make money or, like to fall into the trends. In fact, like they will easily get, into the trends, they will fall into the trends. That's what I feel like. This is what the two examples that I've given you, but there are plenty of them like that, in fact.
So when I try to evaluate it from a third man's perspective, or rather give it a bird's eye view, are we just building a risk appetite? Are we just building a risk appetite in the students? So Sunanda ma'am, your opinion on this, that whether it's really career choices or it's just building risk appetite in the student and the parent?
I think, Daksh, I would like to agree with Jayanti ma'am, Shivakumar sir also. At the same time, in this long career that I've been undergoing, I've been having, I would also like to quote that there are a few instances like this. I had a student a long time ago, after he completed his 12th, he straight away went for sound engineering because he knew that his passion was in the keyboard. He went in for sound engineering, but at the same time, when children take up what they want to do, that is their passion, they need the exact support of their parents. Without the support of their parents, they cannot go forward. Like what Shivakumar sir said just now, umpteen number of cases we have seen in school where the child's parents would have forced them to do something. I even had a case where there was a child who was very clearly, he couldn't do his engineering. And when I spoke to the father about it, the father was totally disappointed. He said, what should I do with my son? Because, at that point of time, probably in the 90s, it was a trend. Either it's engineering or it's medicine. But now it's not like that. The children are able to make their own decisions. Yes, but today's parents, the young generation of parents are supportive of their children. Today, the trend that we see, of course, it's all circumstantial, very much circumstantial. Like what Shivakumar sir said, if it's in a village, the trend would be different. The circumstances lead them to go that way. But when you come to an urban area, you can find that the parents are more supportive. If the child wants to go for fashion technology, the parents agree. That's because they are able to provide at home. But when the circumstances such that they cannot provide at home, yes, the children are forced to take up a job or a career which they may not like, which they may have to do just to support the family. So it's basically a compromise. But at one point of time, we all believe in miracles, I suppose. At some point of time, a door will open for them, where they are able to bring back their passion as well. And that's what we pray for, because no child should be disappointed in what they're doing. Once they're disappointed in their work, they will not succeed in life. And they create a depression for everyone around them, which we do not want our younger generation to be.
I want to get in Regina ma'am now, because we all, hope for that door to open someday, and we don't want them to lose all the hope in life. Do we actually have a setup within the school ecosystem where we can tell them this is a structured way to find your doors? Do we have that? Because in most of the education institutions that we know, I don't think though that trajectory or that story up to that 4 or 5 doors of hope is available. So Regina ma'am, your thoughts on this, that, okay, we don't want to let them lose hope, but do we have a strategy or a trajectory for them?
Well, what I would still like to say is every child has that passion within, a flame. So sadly, in the education system, most often we see that flame is put out, or the creativity is crushed. So we kill the passion of the child by giving them a ready-made, platform or a system to follow. This is the way you should go. But what I feel is now it is heartening to see that even parents are more open to new ideas. Recently, we had the open house, a student who's just joined last year. So the parent was asking me, ma'am, what do you say about my son? And so I said, well, he's he respects elders. And I was just talking in the class and I said, during the lockdown in India, many students have been creative. They've made good use of the time. They've published poems, they've written books, they've done so many innovative things. So one student said, yes, ma'am. What I did was I made a sensor for the water tank, because always we have water overflowing and it gets wasted. but I designed a sensor for that. So I told the father about it, and he said, yes, ma'am, he has a lot of talent in this field. And he's also trying to make a simulator for an aircraft. So he said, I'm more open to him even taking up gaming technology because he's so interested in that. I'm sure with his creativity and passion, he will be able to do something very good for society. So I think we should keep that open and also hope that our system and educational institutions also provide a good environment for students to develop and hone their skills and talents.
I think we all are filled with hope for those doors to open finally someday. But as a trajectory, we do not have one. So I think I would want to get in Maheshwarji at this point. Maheshwarji, you have at your disposal a lot more resource, a lot more people, a lot, lot more of knowledge available with you at your disposal that you can spend as per your, intellect. So do you think there is a need of a space in every school, which we call a career lab? Because whatever we do not have a structured way to give them exposure. Is it needed? If it's needed, who spends for it?
I feel, yeah, it is good if the schools have such a kind of setup facility. But rather, my feel is that, for example, let me tell you, a teacher, for example, I taught computer science for almost like 15-16 years. So that doesn't mean that I am fully, I have a very good command of the entire domain. That doesn't mean. So which means that even teachers are now learners. So recently I saw a quote saying that, teachers are basically co-learners with kids because they are too smart now. So my suggestion is teachers have to create a space, or teachers have to create an environment where they are empowered, they are guided well to do an extensive online search. Because the reason why I am saying is the way in which the students are guided has to be in such a way that they are using the internet for effective planning of career. The problem now here is everybody is using internet, but for what purpose? And it has to be part of the academic curriculum. Or let us say that English teacher wants to give some assignment, and now everybody talks about blended learning, experiential learning, and this new education policy is also talking about the same thing. So there is a lot of content available in internet. So why don't we make use of those content rather than reinventing the wheel? And the only thing required is to give some support to the students, because they are, we all are responsible people in one way or the other, right? So they don't have that responsibility and their mind is totally free. We are really running into solving the problems in everyday life, let it be personal or in career. So they have a free mind. So what we need to do is we need to give an environment where the assignments we provide, the homework we give, that needs to be tailored in such a way that they will spend a good amount of time in internet in doing research. And that will not only help in finding out the career, but that will increase their reading comprehension. Reading is very, very important now, because the attention span itself is dropping. If you see the students, and everybody wants to watch video, everybody wants to listen, but what about reading? See, that has to be retained. So it has to be done in a subtle way that we will not ask them to read, we will ask them to bring in so much of material after reading, so that they do that. And how do you create an interest in that? The most powerful teacher is he has to create, or he or she has to create interest on subject. So if I am teaching a boring subject, let us quote unquote boring subject, because I know the students will say that, okay, you choose this elective, so that you just need to write something and get marks. And the seniors will guide the juniors in such a way that they will tell them, okay, this is the way to get marks. So that is how the Indian education system is. We can't blame teachers. That is how the students are programmed. So we have to break it at least 10 to 15%. I am 100% sure that it is possible at the classroom level, not from a bigger point of view. So if you are able to focus on that classroom level through at least 10 to 15% of teachers in each school. So don't think about 100%, it is too ambitious. So let us forget about that. If you are able to come up with that kind of a solution, which is not rigorous at all, at the same time, the students should feel that necessity. See, we always talk about passion, but what about necessity? As one of the speakers pointed out, sometimes they have to have some earning. So naturally, they have to fall for the trend rather than going for passion. So that also is important. So let them work for the necessity without compromising on the interest, because I know if you have that passion, if you have that fire in within, they can definitely do wonders. So they can even create a trend, even that is possible. So let us have that kind of a way, because when I used to teach, when those days the internet just started, and I used to give 30 questions for a class of 60, so that they will not copy. I will not allow them to copy. But it is a huge effort from my side. I have to do a lot of work. And if I'm able to struggle like that for 1.5 years, then I will also find very good solutions, very good questions from the internet itself. So that is how the teachers have to grow. So that will help. Then only the basically that expansion of the mindset, giving them a broader picture of the whole career, and telling that engineering and medicine is not the only careers. Explore or expose them. And I have seen a lot of students. I don't know if my time is up or not. I'll just conclude with one more point. What I have observed is, even a student who never used to talk in the class, they perform well in competitions. So competitions are one of the important platforms where they will understand their strength and weakness. So one is that we can nurture the strength. We as teachers can nurture the strength. Second is we'll be able to guide them to overcome the weakness. So over a period of time we can program them to build confidence through participating in the competition. So this is the way forward. There is no other way, because the moment you talk about internet, everything is available, but how do you make use of it? So that is my view.
So content is an absolute abundance. Curation is the big challenge. And I think one simple assignment that I think everyone can do is tell students to start preparing a small little one-page project every day on a different career. So that once the 365 days come to an end, you have at least exposed them to minimum 300 new careers that they themselves found out, researched about, tried to figure it out. And over a course of time, you yourself will have at your hand a big career tree. These are the streams that I have that finally culminated to this. And I think this is an asset, rather a digital asset, that each and every school must have, because now having a career lab is critical. Now, when I say a career lab, it does not necessarily mean some kind of infrastructure. It could simply mean a knowledge bank, a repository, because this is something that you need now. Because the career decision is beyond hunger. It's beyond bread. And when it goes beyond bread, you need to go much more deeper and much more in detail. So we have listened to all the speakers for today, but still we could not make out whether it's passion or whether it's the trend. Everybody says try to balance it, but nobody tells us how to do it. So trying again, leaving everyone, all the listeners who will be listening to this video, even after this, a simple question. If you have an answer that in the comments, that if you want to balance the trend and the career and still stay satisfied for life, are you building a utopia? Will you ever be able to build that? Or this is something that can just remain in these discussions? But before the Blub World Web Talks comes to an end, as we always do, we work on a simple idea. Everyone, all the humans typically take decisions on the basis of stories. And in the psychology or the way we understand our decision making, there's something called the story bias. We always base our decisions on a cause and effect relationship. So we thought when people decide on stories, let's collect stories. And stories of teenagers who can inspire other teens. So one such story for all of you that comes from Las Vegas, Nevada, US. A place which is known as the Sin City, but that Sin City gave birth to a child prodigy who became eventually a painting prodigy, and right now who is a millionaire and has only one thing to sell. her paintings. And we call her Colors of Autumn or Autumn de Forest, who's still a teenager and is a millionaire and only sells her art. So this is something that simply tells that your passion could be your career, but again, it's just a story. So do you think this builds enough cause and effect relationship for you to decide? So what we decided, let's start finding more teens. So every month we try to find teenagers who are doing amazingly well and share their stories with many more teenagers. Around a year back, we felt, let's bring these amazing teens together and build the world's first and the biggest parliament of teenagers. So we welcome all of you, all your teenagers, students, everyone who thinks that he can solve a local or a global problem. Then the World Teen Parliament is waiting for you. We'll train you, we'll mentor you, and we'll fund you. And remember, the only thing that you spend in the World Teen Parliament is your intelligence and absolutely nothing else. We're very thankful to our partners, UNESCO Mahatma Gandhi Institute, UNESCO New Delhi, Amrita University, and all these amazing supporters who are helping us in doing this. I think we all need to tell them that if you want success, it's simply equated to a simple skill, and that's problem solving. So figure out how can you be a problem solver. Thank you so much everyone for being a part of the Blub World Web Talks 167th episode. If you enjoyed and if you want to attend the future sessions, open your audio, say a big yes, and thank you so much everyone for being here. Have an amazing evening ahead. Namaste. I hope you enjoyed.
A university where future is driven by imagination. Experiential learning creates diverse opportunities, where industry exposure and international partnerships help you sail. Come, start your journey towards success with Amrita University.